Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report is your preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda and an update from your Oshkosh City Manager. Your hosts, Emily Mikowski of Oshkosh Community Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and welcome to your City Manager's Report. I'm Emily Mikowski, your host, as always joined by your City Manager Mark Roloff. And as always, we'll devote the first half of the show to some current topics going on in Oshkosh, some hot topics to talk about, following up with the council agenda for Tuesday, March 25th, 2014. So without further ado, thanks so much for joining us today, Mark.
Oh, great to be here, Emily.
We have a ton to talk about, as always. So
oh, yeah, we sure do.
We'll get right to one of the first kind of exciting topics here, the WTA analysis on police spending. What can you tell us about this study that was done?
Well, the Wisconsin Taxpayers Alliance does this annual review of law enforcement spending throughout the state, and they've analyzed the 50 largest communities, be it city, village, or town, and they also summarized the top 10 that we have here on the screen. And the two that really stood out for me that I wanted to point out to the council was law enforcement officers per 1,000, as well as expenditures per capita. And amongst the 10 largest communities, Oshkosh ranks as the lowest in officers per 1,000 and in expenditures per capita at 179. You can see a lot of communities, most of the communities in the top 10 are over $200 or very close to it, and we're at $179. Similarly, with officers per 1,000, Appleton does have the same number as us at 1.48 officers per 1,000, but look at all the other communities on that list. Quite a difference, especially when you get over 2 officers per 1,000. You can look at that in many different ways. You know, statistics, you can twist them in so many different ways. But what it says is that you're getting a good value for your money with your law enforcement in Oshkosh. But also when you take a look at it, you know, we are spending less than others, so we're doing the best job we can, and we truly have the lowest cost. We have the fewest amount of resources going towards law enforcement compared to this. Now, these are the top 10. And Milwaukee and Madison, I think sometimes they're a little bit misleading because they're so much larger. There's so many more complex issues, and you could make that argument, and I would probably agree with that. So we also took a look at the top 50, which we're not going to put on the screen there, but even out of the top 50, the city of Oshkosh ranked 44th out of the largest 50 communities for per capita spending. So that same amount of 179 still ranks 44th out of the top 50. So we're still very low, even when you throw in a lot of smaller communities. Similarly, with officers per 1,000, we're tied for 43rd. You see us with Appleton at 1.48. Appleton and Oshkosh are tied for 43rd in officers per 1,000. So once again, we are still very low in expenditures as well as officers per 1,000. And I think that just gives you an idea that we do provide a very good service at a very reasonable cost. And so I think it's important to point that out as people ask about, why are my taxes this or that? We spend a lot less on law enforcement than most of our other communities.
Right, and like you said, I think our police department does an excellent job, and it really does say a lot about that, you know, how we compare to the other communities in this matter. Absolutely,
and I think this demonstrates that you're getting a good value for your money, and we're happy to do that, but we also want to point that out so that people understand where we're coming from when we're talking about police expenditures.
And moving on to our next item here, coming up actually is the election for council and county board. Election day coming up on Tuesday, April 1st.
Well, it sure is. Election day is Tuesday the 1st. You know, you still, if you haven't registered, you can always register at the city clerk's office. You do have to show up to do that. And you can get a look at the sample ballots and the polling places online. If you're not familiar with that, just take a look at the elections tab over on the left side in the quick links, and all the information you need to know about where to vote depending on where you live, the sample ballots, what the ballots look like. There's also a school referendum on the ballot, so there are a lot of important things going on. So just take a look at those, and if you want to vote, that's how you can get it done fairly easily.
Something I'll be having to do here as a new resident to Oshkosh.
There you go.
And if you're looking to find out anything more about the candidates, we do have the League of Women Voters Candidates Forum on our website, oshkoshcommunitymedia.org, available on demand. And we'll also be covering the election live on City Cable 10. So tune into Channel 10 for down to the minute results as the election is happening. So moving on, a pretty hot topic here is the Oshkosh pub crawl. There have been a few issues with this, is that correct?
Well, yeah, over the years there's been a number of issues. The first one that we get a lot of emails, a lot of questions from the public, and some people are concerned about the binge drinking that occurs at pub crawl, and they're absolutely right. That is something that is a problem, and it's a problem in our college community, but it's a problem in our society in general. And there are some concerns that perhaps by approving this special event that somehow the city is condoning or supporting this cause. Well, the reality is that that's not what the council is doing. In fact, the council has made it very well pointed out every time they've approved this special event permit that they're not condoning this, but they do recognize that there are a lot of costs associated with providing extraordinary law enforcement services and police services as well as other services that if we didn't have a special event permit and had that group pay for that, the taxpayers would be paying for that themselves. You and I who don't go to these events are effectively subsidizing these events and paying extra for police and fire overtime to do that. That's the reason for the special event permit in the first place. But with this event, because it's kind of set up in the virtual world where it's done through Facebook and through t-shirt sales, and that's how it's promoted, and then thousands of people show up in downtown Oshkosh on a Saturday night. If we didn't plan for that, we could have a good number of problems, assaults, things like that. We're here to stop those activities from occurring, or at least minimize the impact that binge drinking and some of these other activities do have on it. Sometimes it goes fine without any problem, but other times it doesn't. And we're here to recoup the costs on those, on the costs associated with doing this event.
Yes, and really with the permit, it's kind of, like you were saying, it's difficult to find who the benefactor for that would really be. So that's been an issue that you've come towards as well.
Well, yeah, and you've got people who are selling shirts that are effectively setting the date for the event. They're working with the bar owners to set the day of the event so that everybody's ready for this onslaught of thousands of people. And to date, the organizer or the promoter of the event has not filed for a special event permit at this point. And I am going to talk to council about this and what some of my options are. And some of the options are to pursue this in court, fine somebody for not getting a permit, or another option that we have, which we did consider a couple of years ago, and it didn't get this far, but what we can do is say, we're going to special charge every establishment that serves pub crawl participants, and we're going to split the costs that we incur, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. We're not going to end up holding the bag because the taxpayer is going to hold the bag for that, and that's just not fair for the taxpayer to do. So we're going to prepare charges to send to each of these participating taverns if they can't get it worked out by themselves with this guy who's promoting the event on their behalf for their benefit. So we're hoping that they'll come to the conclusion that working together is more effective, but if they don't, I'm going to have no other choice than to do something. And I think there are people out there in the community who would like to not see this event happen at all. We can't stop it from happening, so what we can do is minimize the impact and minimize the cost to the taxpayer.
Yes, and I really like the point that, ultimately our responsibility is to the taxpayer, and we don't want them to be footing the bill for such an event like that. So on a little bit of a lighter note here, we have some fun news. Oshkosh Community Media Services actually took home, or will be taking home, 14 Wisconsin Community Media Awards. 14 awards, 2 excellent awards for a couple of PSAs that we did, which is awesome. One pertaining to the Time Warner Cable digital transition, and one for our law enforcement, which we'll see later in the show today. And then another achievement award, actually, which you actually had a lot to do with, Mark, was the City Manager's Report Top 10 episode, which is something everybody really looks forward to. So it's great to be recognized for these, and we'll be accepting those awards next month.
Well, what's really neat about this is that this year it was more of an entire Midwest. We used to just compete amongst cities in the state, and even though the state association's handing them out, we competed against all the communities
The
in
whole
the Midwest.
Midwest, yes.
And so that was some pretty stiff competition. And, you know, the OCMS staff, I mean, the top 10 episode is really more of a recap, but the editing that OCMS does, Andy and Scott behind the scenes, to make everything we do for a year culminate. Some great editing work, and I think that's probably why we got the award. I don't think it's my face that got those awards, but we're very happy and very proud of what we do with OCMS, how we get out to the community about things that we're doing, and so we'll happily collect the awards. I don't know if you got enough shelf space out there, though.
I know it's getting a little full out there.
It sure is, but it's well deserved for all the work that the public does, the public supporting OCMS, the interest they take in it. So we'll just keep putting out information.
Yes. Something we get to look forward to also coming up very quickly, a lot sooner than I thought it would, is the State of the City. A reminder, coming up on March 31st at the Oshkosh Convention Center. Doors will be opening at 6 with Mark's State of the City address at 6:30, followed by a City Exhibit Expo for you to kind of go around and meet with different department heads, hear about different projects. It's really a great event here in Oshkosh that a lot of people look forward to.
And we're going to be able to do awards, recognize some great community partners, as well as service awards for a lot of the boards and commissioners that have been serving for 5-year increments. But what's great is getting out there and seeing all the different departments, hearing what's going on. The socializing during the event before and after my address is really the fun part of it. So a lot of enthusiasm for some of our initiatives. And we're going to talk about what we're planning for 2014 and beyond. And that's the main purpose of it. But we've been able to get a lot of this community outreach done with the Exhibit Expo. So we get a lot of mileage out of this event, and it's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody and talking about things that we're accomplishing.
Yes, and it's been a big planning process here in our department, and really a lot of the current topics that we have been talking about over the past few months here in CMR will be kind of discussed a little bit there as well. So it should be a great night. So now it's that time of the show where viewers have the chance to ask their city manager anything they want about things here going on in Oshkosh. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the question is this week. All right, Mark, so the question this week is, how can I report a pothole? Pretty well timed out here with spring finally coming around.
Oh, and the potholes are coming.
Yes.
Yeah, we got a couple other questions, where do they come from? Well, the potholes come from the freeze and thaw cycle that happens with everything going on, and there's been a lot of thawing because there was a lot of freezing. Mm-hmm. But to report them, there's a couple ways. You see the number on the screen, 232-5380. That's really, quick and easy. Pick up the phone. If you're driving, pull over and call it in. But if that helps you get the location right, certainly do that. If you need to wait until you get home and you want to do it online, the city's website's there. You just go under departments, Public Works. I think streets is where you want to go to, and street patching potholes. We've got that there. So we'll get that. Get that to us. We'll add it to our list. Our goal is to respond to virtually all of these within 24 hours of being notified. If you've seen it for 3 days and you wonder why the city hasn't done it, probably because somebody hasn't called it in. So even if it's a quick call to us at 232-5380, just let us know. We don't see all of them, but we do have a priority list. We initially take care of the ones that are by size of the pothole. That's probably the most important. Also, the number, if we've got a number of them in one location, a lot of small potholes is just as bad as one big pothole. Mm-hmm. And we also take a look at the volume of a street. A localized street where your house might be on may not be as high priority as, say, one of the major streets, 9th, Jackson, Bowen Street, those types of streets. So let us know. We'll take it. We'll put some temporary patching material in there. That's really what we get going on. And then we go back later on and see if there's anything permanently we can do. We put some mix in there, and I saw some crews out there yesterday, and the asphalt was steaming because they got it out there. It gets cold, and then it kind of freezes over and gets in there. But it really only works for a short amount of time. You might see your favorite pothole get patched and then turn around and get torn up again. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to be down in the single digits in the next few days. potholes can come back. So let us know if you see them, and we'll be happy to take care of them for you.
Yes, and I know we were talking with John last week or a couple weeks ago when he was here on CMR about the construction that's coming up, and it's just yet another aspect of the construction with spring arriving here finally. So another fun thing to look forward to.
Yep, but let us know if you see them. That'll
Yes.
be okay.
We're going to take a quick break here on City Manager's Report, and when we come back, we'll go over the upcoming City Council agenda for Tuesday, March 25th, 2014. We'll be right back.
Thinking about dealing drugs in our county? Think again.
Hi Oshkosh, I'm City Manager Mark Roloff. In the last few years, we've seen Oshkosh grow in so many ways, and in 2014, I know we can continue to prosper. Join me Monday, March 31st at the Oshkosh Convention Center for the annual State of the City Address and City Exhibit Expo. Doors open at 6 p.m., with the State of the City being delivered at 6:30. Following the presentation, we'll honor some standout community members and then close out the night with the expo, where you can go one-on-one with city staff. Monday, March 31st, Convention Center. Be there and be involved in your community.
Welcome back to your City Manager's Report. And now it's that time of the show to go over the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, March 25th. And actually what we just saw, that drug PSA, was one of the ones that we discussed early in the show, the award winner. So it's cool to see that. And so first up on our agenda here is Resolution 14-117, accept the Oshkosh Area Community donation for the mobile command vehicle, which is a huge topic, something the council approved in the budget depending on upcoming funds, correct?
Right. In fact, the idea was that we were going to spend about $250,000, of which fundraising was going to raise about $144,000. The Oshkosh Area Community Foundation took this and said, we're going to do this, and they've already met the goal for the vehicle itself. Their goal is to raise $300,000 between the city's donation or the city's contribution of $106,000 and the total vehicle cost of $300,000 when all the accessories are put on. It's a lot different than, for example, the county has a communications vehicle, a mobile command center. This is going to be different. This is not just going to be for incidents. We're going to use it for special events where the police department will have a central place where they can dedicate, because of so many events that we have, we would outstrip the availability of the county's vehicle, and frankly, they just wouldn't be able to meet our demand. But the police department and many of our other departments are really taking this one step further.
Right.
And that's what got the Community Foundation involved, because the Community Foundation recognized that we can use this for outreach to get out to neighborhoods, to have officers meet one-on-one with residents in a much more friendly setting. You see the vehicle there in the footage was all blank, and we'll have sponsors, people who donate that to that cause, and good messages about crime prevention and things like that. Those are the types of things that you'll see out there, but we want the officers to be out talking to residents, meeting with them, getting into problem areas and saying, we're not going away from this problem area, we're going to go to it and we're going to address issues there. Similarly, our planning office, our parks department, they want to use this vehicle for outreach efforts as well. So it'll really be an extension of City Hall, an extension of the police department, and our goal is to make more people aware of city services and to have a much more collaborative relationship. The police department's new motto is know us before you need us. And I think that's what they want to do, get out in the community more and have people become excited. So we're happy that the Community Foundation is continuing the fundraising effort. They're raising the rest of the funds for the accessories. Some of the things you saw in there that that we'll still need to do, the television sets, some of the communications equipment, but you're going to see more of that in the coming months. But we're excited that we've already met the minimum goal for this, and our goal is to get to that $300,000, and we can't thank the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation enough for all they've done for us.
Yes, it's really an exciting addition here to Oshkosh. Like you said, it's not only a mobile command post for special events or emergency situations, but it's so much more than that. So really looking forward to seeing this out on the streets, hopefully by this summer.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I think it'll be ready easily by the end of the summer.
Next up here, resolution number 14120, award bid for public works contract dealing with the Central City area. What can you tell us about this contract?
This is our annual street project, one of 3. This is the Central City area. For the most part, it's the area immediately north of City Hall in the Middle Village area. This is really a continuation of the work that was done when we did the big dig at City Hall last year and put that underground detention pond in. This will, from a stormwater standpoint, collect the water immediately north, going all the way up to New York Avenue, and collect the water in what's called the Division Street watershed. But the streets there they haven't been addressed in a number of years, and those were well past their prime. And we worked with the neighborhood, the Middle Village neighborhood, to identify design features that they wanted to see to slow down traffic for people that may be speeding through their neighborhood. So we're doing a lot of things, engaging the neighborhood to reach consensus on what types of things we wanted to do. The good news is that the project is about $500,000 under budget with the bids we got, so we're really excited about that because that just saves us money down the road.
And what exactly is the status on this currently?
Well, after this bid is awarded, the plan will be to start this work probably mid-April, as soon as it stops snowing, but really about mid-April, and they'll start the excavation, and then they'll start the concrete rolling once the storm sewers are all in. But usually you do the utilities first, and then you cover it up with the street. So it'll take a good part of the summer to get this all done. But when it's done, you're going to have streets that are going to be good for 40 years.
Excellent. Moving on to our next consent agenda item here, Resolution 14-121, having to do with the Aviation Business Park. Now, this is not a new topic to us. We've kind of been discussing this park for a while here. What's the status on that? Well,
this is getting the design work done on this. We have to go through a certain process because we got a $2 million grant from the Economic Development Administration, and so the funds we have to award the contract a certain way. This is just for the design of the street. And that'll get done through the good part of the summer. We'll probably bid it in the fall, and so you're going to see construction way out there, out in our Airport Industrial Park. That'll start fairly soon. You can see it on the map. It's just south of Ripple Avenue and adjacent to the airport. You can see to the left of the screen the beginning of the runway over there, but that's the area. It'll pretty much go the middle, wind through a little bit. The county owns the western part of this property. The city owns the eastern part, and we're going to jointly market it. And it's going to be a great way to attract aviation businesses that could potentially come to Oshkosh.
Yes, and we're looking forward to seeing where this keeps on going here. Under new ordinances, we have Ordinance 14-138, Amend Special Events Ordinance. Now, this is a result of a workshop that Council had. They didn't think another workshop was necessary, so what changes can you say that are being made?
Well, during the council work session, there were issues about communication, how we get people informed more, and most of those we felt we could take care of administratively. We didn't need to change the rules. We're looking at other ways to pursue that. But in terms of the ordinance itself, the council wanted to know, are there situations where we should be denying events? And the council does reserve that right. We provided them with more reasons that if they felt an event wasn't appropriate for our community, that they had the ability to say no. So we've got that added to the ordinance, and that gives them a range of options to look at. If they don't feel it's, whether it's not worthy of closing streets and closing traffic, that's one issue. If the quality of the event is something that it doesn't lend itself to the betterment of the community, they've reserved the right to do that. A variety of things, but that's the whole idea, is give the council a little more discretion on this area.
Great. Under new resolutions here, Resolution 14-140 is approved professional service agreement with Explorer Solutions to undertake aerospace cluster study for the Aviation Business Park. Oh, I already just did that one.
No, we did. No, there's two things with this.
Okay.
They're not together.
Aviation and Business Park in here. So this one actually, tell us about this.
This is really cool too. No, but at the Aviation Business Park, we were awarded a grant from the Department of Defense as a result of all the Oshkosh corporation layoffs that were happening. What we've identified here is with the Aviation Business Park, it's just another example of what we're doing here, is taking a look at what potential aviation businesses could locate in this park. Not just say it's aviation, come one, come all, but really challenging ourselves to target exactly what type of aviation businesses we want.
More of a strategic?
Very strategic, and Explorer Solutions has done things as diverse as the K.I. Sawyer Air Force Base in the UP, as well as big major metropolitan areas, how you can market your aviation facilities for aviation type businesses. So it'll be a little more targeted in what we're doing.
Great. And then briefly, Resolution 14-141, Approved Middle Village Neighborhood Plan. What can you tell us about that?
The planners, our planning department, have been working with the Middle Village neighborhood to develop a plan that really comes from the neighbors themselves. And we're hoping to engage more neighborhoods with more neighborhood plans. I really believe that these plans are much more effective when you engage the neighbors, and this is just one example. Obviously, Middle Village is most interested in this, but we're hoping that other neighborhoods follow suit.
Kind of create a little bit of a model for other neighborhoods.
Exactly.
Excellent. And then our last item to discuss here, Resolution 14-144, Approved Budget Adjustment for Community Development. And Mark, how exactly did this come about?
Well, this is kind of a culmination of several years of things in our strategic plan to improve economic development. Council's given me direction on numerous occasions to find a way to centralize economic development, develop measures to make economic development more accountable. So what this does is we're taking a lot of the resources that we've been scattering throughout the community for economic development and bringing them back in-house, creating some staff positions that we believe will be more effective and more accountable to the public in delivering economic development services. And it's really by unifying those resources, we want to create a single point of contact for economic development so that a prospective business or a business in town that wants to expand, they know who to pick up the phone and call. And we'll be a full service economic development agency being able to serve businesses and residents right here in Oshkosh.
And there was a study done, the Prager study, which I'm not too familiar with, but you had told me that it had recommended a public-private partnership. Is that consistent with the Prager study's recommendations?
I think it is. It's going to take a little longer because the Prager study recommended a public-private partnership, nonprofit type of entity. What we're doing is we're going to start these resources by bringing them in-house because they've been scattered with largely fragmented resources. We're bringing them together, and once we can get our resources in order and accountable, and I believe a single point of contact, then we can work more closely with our private sector partners to more effectively deliver economic development services to the community. So I think it's very consistent with the Prager study. It just taken a little longer to get around to doing it. But I've talked to businesses, and they want to see a more concerted effort by the city, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to provide more concentrated economic development services so we can better serve the public and get more jobs and more tax base in our community.
Excellent. And a lot of, I guess, a question could be is this the best practice? Are other cities doing this this recommendation as well?
Cities our size have economic development agencies in them, and we believe we're going to be consistent with a lot of other communities. Green Bay and Appleton already do this, and it's just a matter of getting our resources channeled, and we'll be more effective.
Great. Well, it looks like we're all out of time today on City Manager's Report, so thanks again for joining us as always, Mark. Again, the City Council meeting is this Tuesday, March 25th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on City Cable 10 and on our website, oshkoshcommunitymedia.org, or listen to it on 101.9 WOCT, which is now also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Make sure to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all your community and government programming and updates. And don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, you can send it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of CMR. Thanks again for joining us on your City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time. Bye.